statutes. One of the first statutes that was ever put out there about animals is you gotta vaccinate.
I am not questioning the rabies vaccine. What I am questioning is the time frame that you're giving her to do it.
Well, how much time do you think is reasonable?
I worry about her, okay? I'm not far off from her age. I have seen her when she's had the attacks of the angina, and she's got 8 stents in her already. She's having more put in today. You know, I mean, I worry about her, and this is gonna send her off the wall.
I can tell you that our intent is to do nothing other than look at what the ordinance prescribes. I have no choice.
Okay.
So when there's a violation,
you're giving her 3 days to get 59 dogs vaccinated for rabies.
so the citations are today, so they're already issued. In order to comply with the inspection that we talked about, she has 3 days to try and remedy those issues. These have already.
Including, you said, the rabies certificate.
2 separate things.
So, but if she doesn't have the medical records and she doesn't have rabies certificates, that's a violation of our ordinance, which means that we can't issue her a
Okay.
permit. Do you see what I mean?
All right, if you're saying it's 2 different issues, okay. So then, what is the time frame for her to get 59 dogs vaccinated?
So at any time, if we came out here tomorrow, which we're not, but if we came out here tomorrow and they were not vaccinated and you didn't have the records tomorrow, you could technically write another 59. And if we were here on Wednesday.
What I'm saying is, what is the time frame?
She's saying, well, how like, what are y'all giving her?
They've already.
You already
they've
gave her a time frame?
They've already needed to be done, but right now, the citations are there. So I guess what I'm saying is, I would suggest that you try to get them as quick as possible.
Okay, you're giving her citations set.
Yes.
How many days does she have to comply, is what I'm asking.
So there's a court date within 30 days, or she can pay the fine.
So if she goes to the court date, if she gets if she has proof, and the one she don't have proof, she gets the rabies, and she goes to the court date that date in 30 days, will they still have to pay the citation? You see
The judge makes that determination. So the initial fine is $50. The judge has the ability to increase that or decrease that. So it could be up to a maximum of $500 per citation, but I doubt the judge is going to do something like that.
Like, so if she showed up with all the rabies certificates, or does she have to show up, or could she call y'all before the court date?
I was hopeful that we could just get the certificates from Dr. Phillip. I will tell you, the reason why we're not able to get them is because the vast majority of them aren't vaccinated. I think all of us agree to that. The problem is that you get a member of the public, right, come in here, they get bitten or scratched, or you, as employees, get bitten or scratched. If the animals are not appropriately vaccinated, it's actually exposing you. It's not actually safe. So all of our employees at Animal Services, for instance, get vaccinated ahead of time, because if we interact with all kinds of different dogs, right? So you want to make sure that you're vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, at least have the animals vaccinated. And if they're not vaccinated, not only would you not have any protection if you got bitten or scratched, but they wouldn't have any protection if a bat flew in here, or if a raccoon got in here and got into a fight with one of them, they would have no protection. So how much time am I giving you, technically speaking? It's already up. But she has 3 days to comply with the actual standard that we're talking about.
Okay, so she's gonna pay $50 for each one of these.
Or
even if she got
contested.
them vaccinated.
Or contested.
So if she contests the citations and she goes into the courtroom and she has 59 rabies vaccines for these dogs,
They may drop it, they may lower
will be
it.
up to the judge's discretion, but that is her relief at this point. She can either pay them, or she can go to the court, get a court date, which is all at the bottom of the citation here. And at that court date, if she's able to provide documentation that she's got it all taken care of, the judge will decide whether, okay, we can throw it out, you have the rabies vaccine or not. At this point, once they're issued, it's out of our hands and up to the judge. So it's up to her on whether she wants to contest them and, see if the judge.
Are y'all gonna come back again within the 30 days and see if she has the rabies tickets and sign it like in a week and give her 59 more tickets?
Well, we have 3 days to comply with this.
What's that?
So
Sorry.
this is the inspection
Just
today.
leave it for a minute, please. Just leave it. Let me get one thing settled here at a time. The only thing we need to get a vet here to get them vaccinated. So you told me that you needed to see the rabies vaccine certificate.
Mhm.
I cannot possibly show them to you.
Okay.
And I told you that right up front. Okay. So if I can't get it done, she's indisposed. You just decide, okay, we'll give her the citation anyway.
No, so we don't have a lot of choice when it comes to enforcing the ordinance, so let me give you an example. If I go to someone's house today because their dog was running loose and we showed up and the dog wasn't vaccinated, we could have been there for any other random reason, but because it's not vaccinated for rabies, they get a citation. Because rabies is such a serious problem. We actually have had animals diagnosed with rabies here in Seminole, and so it's very important for us to make sure they're vaccinated. So even if they had just a personal pet that was running loose in the front yard, they would get the same citation as what the organization is getting today because they weren't vaccinated.
Okay, but this is what I'm trying to understand. I cannot do anything about paperwork, computer work, anything like that. She could have, let's say, 30 of those dogs, but she's still going to get a fine even if she produces that record.
What is happening is she's in a business regarding dogs, and there are regulations regarding businesses with dogs, this being one of them. And so there are things that she has to comply with. All the things that we're talking to you, it's just to comply
What
with
I'm
it.
saying is, she's getting a citation. She's not even here to defend herself, to show you, oh, well, I got 20 of them.
She's required to have that available whether she's here or not. So if somebody from the USDA or somebody like Adam comes, and
You just had an
speaks to
AKC
you,
inspection last week. So I
Yeah,
presume that
but
she
I
would have had
don't
the,
deal
I'm
with
saying
the
she
business
would have had,
That's
right.
what I
And it's,
explained
you're
to
not
you.
receiving the citations, and you're not receiving the citations, right? But she is responsible for it. So much like if you ran a boarding facility, right? You want to go board your dog somewhere, they're going to ask you to have all the other vaccines, right? Same thing.
Do you have a vet that she can that she could pay to give all the rabies shots to the ones that she don't have that would come out here?
There are a
'Cause you
ton
said
of veterinarians.
you said you would help. So would that help her if you had a number of some like a mobile vet that would come out here and vaccinate the dogs that she don't
Well,
have?
I don't have a mobile vet, I will be honest with you. I have one, and then I have one contract that actually work at Animal Services themselves. But I will tell you this, you guys have a lot of dogs. To be able to manage the medical records, the medication, I mean, you probably didn't know, but when I was looking in there specifically, those medications are expired. Like that's gabapentin, which is used for pain, and that expired over 3 years ago. So
She's probably
that-
not using that. Then there's a lot
Right,
of stuff.
well,
that she
here's what I'm
does.
saying, like, give me a second,
Yeah,
right?
you're
I'm
fine.
just gonna throw it out there, think about it like this. It's there, whatever patient that was prescribed to, and I think that was Clyde that was on the bottle, whatever medication that was prescribed to, if all the meds are still in the bottle, that means the dog got no meds for pain.
Mhm.
And clearly the vet said that he should get it for pain.
Yeah.
So animals aren't getting the meds, and if even part of it was given, all of it's supposed to be given. And if it's expired, like the actual prescription is expired, the only reason why you would be keeping it is if you were giving it and dosing it to other animals, which is a very common thing to do by breeders, but it is not appropriate.
Yeah.
And it is not actually treating the animals' conditions. Because if they're not being seen by the vet, and if they are, you got to follow what the vet wants you to do, like giving them the pain medication.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot of stuff that she's told us that she's doing herself. She's doing her own fecals. She's providing her own deworming. She's doing her own vaccines. Some of those things you can do, but some of those things you can't do. And you got to have health certificates if you're offering it for sale, even on the
I know all
website.
her. I don't know if they have, but I know they all leave here with health certificates.
Right, and I'm just telling you, just like I told her, if
I heard you. If they're for sale, they have to have.
if
it
they
done.
are offered for sale, even if they're transported into the state for the purposes of being sold, it's a health certificate. And here's why that becomes
Even if they
important.
don't leave this premises, as soon as you post
It's
them.
offered for sale. And here's why that becomes important, because that's the puppy lemon law. If she does not have the health certificate, like right now, I am not doing this enforcement today, but with FDACS, the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, that's a misdemeanor for every single dog. If they
That
don't
she
have a
has,
health certificate.
if she has it posted.
That is
right?
available for sale, that needs a health certificate at the time it's being offered. Not by the time it leaves, it's gotta be at the time it's offered. So that means if you keep it 30 or more days, you gotta go
Get
get
another
another health
health
certificate, right?
And
Yeah.
that's happened.
Yeah.
where we had to bring them back because the health certificate.
And I took pictures of I was on this table of every single one of her health certificates. So she has maybe about a dozen or less, but that's it for the whole property. And you got more than that available for sale on your website. So if it's not available for sale or it's not 8 weeks of age, that's different. But if it's 8 weeks of age and you're selling it, you gotta have a health certificate. Yeah.
So if it's 4 weeks, like sometimes she put the babies on.
They don't have to have a health certificate yet.
You can only get a health certificate when they become 8 weeks
Yeah.
of age.
Okay. That's what I thought, just wanted to clarify.
And they can't be vaccinated for rabies until they're 4 months.
Yeah, so that's just the parvo distemper and bordetella, she chooses it in the fecal, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the health certificate.
And you know, the other thing too, I talked about Panicure, you know, I understand that there's a desire to really save money where you can. Vet care is very expensive, but unfortunately, if the vet's not seeing every one of them, and the vet's not seeing every one of them, you guys know that, I know that. So the vet's not seeing every one of them. What happens if you have an outbreak of hookworms at your facility? How would you know? And which animals would receive the treatment?
Kind of do all of them.
You actually need to be doing regular fecals on everybody. Right?
Everybody gets kind of wormed regularly, like we have a,
But even on top of that, they need to be into the vet.
yeah.
So the vet can actually look at the direct of that dog and then make sure it could be something that's treatable, right? It could be something very serious. And so getting them into the vet, even if that vet wants to come out here, I know that that's going to be expensive, and you're probably already thinking, well, how can we afford that? You don't have as many dogs because that's what's required for you to do that for every dog. So if you want to do it times X number of times, all of those are going to require a lot more work.
So do you do you have like a shop clinic at the animal control?
We do. We typically offer that once a quarter, so once every 4 months we do that.
Oh, okay.
It's
So it's
offered
not
at
like I
Animal
could just
Services.
bring some of the dogs and get them, the ones that don't have the rabies, like take them up there for her and get them vaccinated.
I mean, if it's something that she is not able to do, you know, I think we should talk about, because if she's not able to afford the rabies vaccine, but she's still breeding more dogs.
No, she can. I'm sure she can afford. Like, she would get him. Like the ones that don't got him.
That's not what we're saying. We're trying to
I'm-
figure out a way
To
to
get them all the
help her out
rabies.
and not have her end up going in and having a damn stroke because.
Because I help her get the dogs to where they need to go to get the rabies or whatever they need to get. I don't mind taking them in my car.
I mean, Dr. Phillip has said that, I mean, he will do them. He has no problem doing them. She has to make the appointment.
Because I could take like 2 at a time, a couple of times.
Yeah, it's important to know that they can't be offered for sale without a health certificate. They got to have the rabies
Well, I'm talking
vaccine.
about like the older ones that that the rabies have expired. Because this past
Well,
year she's been sick a lot this year, so I
and
know
what I
there's
will-
a lot of them that are expired.
What I would also tell you, imagine if, I mean, you've worked in a vet hospital, I'm sure worked in the veterinary field. When you go into a vet hospital, you see all of those files, right? Charts, patients' files everywhere. So the next time that client calls you, you can go and say, oh, hey, yeah, I remember you. You came on such and such date, right? And all the information about that animal is located in that file. That doesn't exist here for you. So if there is anything that goes wrong with these animals, and there's likely something to go wrong, you got a lot of them. You go into the vet, you have no records. You've got, I think this happened over here, you've got some information over there, and before you know it, you have no idea what's going on with this animal, and it's because it's not regularly seen by a veterinarian. And you multiply that times the number of animals that you have, it's like rolling the dice. And unfortunately, that's why I was concerned, because I didn't think that you had deaths happen frequently, but it's very possible. I mean, if you end up with parvo here, or coccidia,
I know she's
or campylobacter, or any of the things that easily exist. And listen, I run a shelter; it can exist anywhere,
Yeah.
right? I'm just telling you, it's a lot to manage.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think she doesn't have individual medical records at all. So when we're going in, we're trying to figure out, well, who are you and who are you? Some of them are microchipped, not all of them are microchipped. Even worse, what happens if some get loose here? We wouldn't know who they belong to. There's lots of things that we want to make sure that they get addressed.
I know she got microchips. Get them on microchip.
Yeah, got them in the mail.
Do they have to be microchipped by a licensed vet?
So you.
Or as long as we have it like filed record properly, or how does that work?
So you're permitted to treat your own pet in the state statute. The difference is that you can't say you're treating your own pet if it's not working. So if she says, hey, I have this
If
dog,
it's still sick and it's not getting
I got
better.
this dog that's got diarrhea, I'm going to give it some Panicure and some Safeguard, see if that works. Well, it doesn't work. Now the dog's losing weight. Well, now we're going to do something different, whatever other concoction that someone could come up with. If it's not working and yet you're seeing the
Still-
dog continue to
And you don't
decline,
do nothing about it.
that's a serious problem.
So if you do something and it does work, then
Well, but here's the other thing. You're also group housing all of them. So you mean to tell me that you have any idea which one of them are losing weight in there or gaining weight? Because there's no way you're weighing the dogs on a regular basis.
no, but you can kind of, if you're with them every day, you can, when they have like the slightest personality change, then you should be able to catch that in a way.
But they're little dogs, so when they lose weight, it's a bigger percentage of their body overall.
Yeah.
And so when they have to be group housed like that, oftentimes they compete for resources. So there's some that get a lot of food, some that get some of the food, and some of them
Oh,
that
they
get very little.
never have empty bowls of food.
And so I just wanted to point out that it's harder to maintain
Yeah.
housing them like that. I mean, they're not cattle, right? You can somehow manage to wrangle cattle in the corral like that, but you can't really do it as easily with the dogs.
It's not that easy with cattle either, I'll tell you.
Right.